This is WGBB AM 1240 and W240 DF FM 95.9 Freeport, New York.
The views expressed in the following program do not necessarily represent those of the staff, management, or owners of WGBB.
It is time for Streetwise with former Chief of the New York City Sheriff's Department, former Chief of the Seagate Police Department, retired New York City Detective, Time Warner Public Access Media Award, Joe Franklin Super Excellence in Broadcasting Memory Lane Award, New York Veteran Police Association Streetwise production, host of Streetwise, Mr. Lou Tarano.
Good evening and welcome back to Streetwise. My guest needs no introduction, I'm going to make this very brief. He is the police commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department. So I want to welcome right sitting in front of me. By the way, I do have to say this. I put a tie on today. If you're on live stream and you see me with a tie, usually it's open. I did that as a respect for the police commissioner coming on, and look how nice and casual he is. So.
Shorts and a golf shirt work.
Yes, so that tells me he's going to someplace to enjoy himself after the show, which is great. Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder, Nassau County, welcome to Streetwise.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, now I just want to touch, because it's a question was asked me because I left from correction to do police work, and after so many years, you are a New York City cop for 2.5 years, and then you left to come to Nassau County, which I think was a great move. But what was your reason for doing that, Commissioner Ryder?
When I came out of high school, like most kids, no direction. I was looking to go to Nassau Community College, and the test came up for the NYPD. I really didn't have a drive back then to be a cop. I wasn't sure what I wanted. Like most 20-year-old kids, I took the NYPD test. I got called in January of 1984. I went in, I did my 6-7 months in the police academy, went over to the 71st Precinct, which is NSU 12 at the time, Neighborhood Stabilization Unit, and then I was assigned to the 7-9. 2.5 years later, I got called for the Nassau County Police Department, and it was a tough decision to leave. It was a strong bonding with the members of the NYPD, and I still have that great bonding with them now. And when I left, I broke a couple of tears. It was a hard decision.
It's such a great camaraderie. We're just a family, exactly, right?
Yeah. When there's tragedy and hard times, people come together, and crack was king back in the 80s.
Right.
And a lot of officers paid that ultimate sacrifice, and we came together as a brotherhood, a sisterhood, and that brotherhood and sisterhood is still strong today.
You came on at a time, because I was on during the 70s. During the 70s, 2 police officers were actually being murdered during the 70s, and they were black and white teams, and it sort of continued until you come on the job, with police officers being assassinated or murdered. So it was a tough era. So you were actually broken in from the old school, really, pretty much.
It was a very fast learning period back then. You were right into the fire.
Right. Folks, I just want when one of the few people that I say is tough to interview, and I say tough, not rough, is that it's hard to get them on a show. And I was fortunate enough to interview twice Ray Kelly, the former police commissioner, and let me tell you, he just doesn't do radio, TV. He keeps it to a minimum. But I want to say, I have the same sort of, I'm going to use the word respect for my guest tonight, because I'm always respect if you're a cop. Somebody that starts from the bottom, I'm going to say from the bottom, you walk a beat, and then you work your way up through the ranks, and you become the commissioner of the police department. And you're one of those guys, Pat Ryder, you're not a political appointment. I mean, to a degree, because you got to be appointed, that's the name of the game, but you did... You know the streets, like they say about me. You walk the beat. So you're one of the few that's in that category that work your way up. Usually they're attorneys, politicians. How do you feel that you starting from the bottom, and the bottom, I guess you could say, was NYPD, and becoming the police commissioner of a great county like Nassau County?
When I started in NSU 12 in the 7-1, Ray Kelly was the XO of the precinct at the time.
Wow.
And my first day on patrol, Prospect and Nostrand, right there in Crown Heights, an assault occurs. I end up taking the arrest. I think I was handed to it by the plainclothes guys. And I think I got yelled at by my lieutenant, my sergeant, by the desk officer, everybody. You don't make an arrest on your first day on the street. And this captain came walking by, tapped me on the shoulder and says, "Don't worry, it gets better, kid." And that was Ray Kelly.
Wow.
And I'll never forget that moment. I've met him since then, and I've had conversations with him about policing, and I bring that up to him. I said, that day meant a lot to me as a young cop by some captain. I didn't know he'd be the commissioner one day.
Right.
I didn't even know who he really was.
Correct.
Just this guy named Captain Kelly. And we've had some conversations regarding that since.
Who would think that day when he tapped you on the shoulder, you'd wind up being a police commissioner yourself? It's just, right? It's just
the magic touch, I hope.
Yeah, it is. But from my understanding, it's it was well worth it. I mean, for us to have you as our commissioner in Nassau County.
Thank you.
You know, because there's several things. You know, there's maybe it has to do because he was in the NYPD for 2.5 years. But he seems to be a natural when you have people that are personable. You know, and I use the example of a walk softly but carry a big stick. Keep away from these guys that are quiet and keep to themselves, you know, because they can handle themselves and they can handle whatever they have to handle. But saying that, there are some concerns in the county like any place else in the country. One of the latest things I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, that's happening is the senior citizen scams that seem to be prevalent, you know, in the county. And I think your guys made a great collar or arrest recently. Why do you think that happened now? It just seems to be an influx with that, with the scamming senior citizens in Nassau County.
Well, like any crime, success breeds confidence, right? Like anything in life.
Right.
And bad guys find a way to prey on the elderly, and they do it by social media. You go onto a Facebook account and say, you'll see some kid talking about the grandma's 75th anniversary, you know, birthday. And then they'll go and they'll get that information, they'll surf the web, they'll learn a little about the family, they'll make that phone call to grandma, and grandma answers and says, "Oh, you know, little Johnny was just involved in an auto accident, and this is a real case, and if you don't send some money, he's going to go to jail. He needs it for both the bail money and so forth."
Right.
The grandmother gave him, the bad guy, some money. He showed up at the house. He came back a second time, and then he came back a third time. And this is the part that disturbed us the most in Nassau County. On the third time when he returned, the woman was so concerned about him counting the money that the bills was sticking together that she said to him, "Look, I'll get you a sponge if it makes it easier for you."
Wow.
And the guy says, no, with a big smile, and then walks off with the money. That ended up being a scam. We caught him.
Right.
And our detectives did a great job tracking him down with some information, with cameras, leveraging technology and social media. We tracked him down, and he's arrested, and the district attorney is going to throw the book at him. That's
beautiful,
for sure.
Beautiful. Does that seem to be a rise now? Because it seems to be, you know. It's just...
Well, you know, when you look at major crime, we talk about violence of murders and robberies and so forth. They're in record lows here in Nassau County. I mean, record lows. But bad guys are also getting smarter. They're using a non-violent way to probably get more money than they would if they stuck up the local deli. You stick up a local deli, you walk out with $300. This individual who scammed the grandmother walked away with $70,000 of her hard-earned money. So we take it just as serious. We put the resources behind it. It's hard to prevent that type of crime, but we do it through education and awareness.
Right.
And we've done training now to all our seniors. We've gotten on social media. We put it on our Facebook accounts. We get all the groups, the local informal sharing of information groups like the Wanto Mamas. And we say, hey, guys, share this with your group. Speak to your grandparents. Speak to your neighbor if they're alone. And let them know if somebody calls you and offers you some kind of issue and says that they want cash, no government agency does that. No law enforcement agency does that. And really, no lawyer is going to do that either. So call us. Call 911. We'll send a cop by your house. We'll take the information, and we'll let you know if it's the right thing to do.
Interesting. So what would that be? What would the charge be? I mean, I pretty much know for the audience.
Well, it's a larceny. It's a grand larceny by defraud, by scamming.
By scam.
And we take it very, very serious here in Nassau.
Could you throw in burglary in there? It's still,
I'd throw everything at them if I can keep them in jail.
I know.
These guys are bad people that they pick on our most vulnerable in society. And you know what? They're the ones that we should be looking after. They're the ones we should be taking care of. And those that are listening to you today on this show should go and check on their grandparents, check on their neighbor.
I know.
We as a community got to make sure that we stay tight.
Great advice. So now you have a team, I think, that go out and lecture. That, like you just said, educational.
Our community affairs office has doubled in size in the last year, and they work with our POP cops, our problem-oriented policing that's in the precincts, and they work with our COPE guys. And we create one message, one training method to go out. We make the standard PowerPoint and lecture, and we say, guys, now go. Spread throughout Nassau County and spread the message. We use our commissioners' community councils to do the same. We give them the information, and they become like ambassadors for us to go keep spreading it. It's just about getting the awareness out there and getting the education that they don't get beat or scammed.
Now, that's new that you created, is a community council, police community council?
Yep.
That's a new initiative that you created.
Correct. So you look at my white Irish face. This does not reflect the diversity in Nassau County.
Right.
So you got to go out and find a way to reach your community. That's how, and get our fingers into our neighborhoods to say, hey guys, what can we do to better help you? So what we did was we took the 19 legislative districts, we chose an executive leader from each district, and then we assigned anywhere from 10 to 20 in each district, depending on the size of the district and who wants to be part of it. We have monthly meetings. We also meet with the executive board bi-monthly. We constantly, when we meet them, we explain to them use of force. We explain to them canine. We explain to them what mounted does. We just did a Marine Bureau demonstration for them. Because when someone on TV sees why the dog is barking at that individual, why he did what he did, they're like, oh, the cops are being aggressive. The cops are using the wrong message. Why did they have to use that taser? The old saying when we were young cops is, why couldn't you shoot the gun out of his hand? Right. We're not taught that way. And there's reasons why we do what we do tactically. We teach the whole new process of de-escalation, trying to bring the force down instead of ratcheting it up. But by doing that, by reaching these people in our councils, they have more reaches into our community. And there's no political, you're choosing a legislative that's in charge of that district, but they choose a group within the district. It doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, or in between. They're there to work with us as a police department and get the positive message out.
Well, what's their job? What's their job? Actual job?
So their job is that they come in and they have a reach in the community. Right. So when they hear a problem or a complaint in the community that may not rise to the level of the precinct level, they'll generate it back. We have an assistant commissioner who oversees the group. She'll take that complaint, file a number, push it out, and we're getting fast returns, meaning immediately I'm responding a POP cop or a COPE cop or a CERT cop and saying, guys, I need this addressed right away. We get instant results that gives satisfaction to the customer, which is our residents here. They realize that we remove the bad people off the streets or educate, again, awareness or education. By that result, keeps that resident happy and knows that the Nassau County Police Department is doing what is right by the people who live here. And if they're happy, then things work fine. And then the relationship between the police department and the community grows stronger.
Absolutely. What made you think of that? Because you invented it.
Because when you look at diversity in the police department is one, we're always trying to recruit from our minority communities, African-American kids or Asian kids, and get them to take our police test. We go to great lengths to do that. But then every time I look at my class that's going in, I see the same white males, for the most part, coming through and passing and getting onto the police department. And that's not from a lack of trying to bring the diversity in. So if I can't do it through the police side, meaning their recruitment and bringing them into the department, I'll do it through the community side, and I'll get the community to be part of it. So they feel they're part of our team. They feel they're working with us. They feel that they're part of what the solutions are, And I give a lot of credit to the people out there in Nassau County. We got a great community here in the county that do the right thing for each other. For the most part, you got a small 90% of the crime is done by 10% of the population.
Correct.
We got a small percentage of that 10, and we focus on those 10 to remove them from the environment.
And what's good about your program that you initiated is that it also brings awareness to the kids that the cop is not the bad guy. You know, it's
Absolutely. We just brought back the great program, Gang Resistance Education and Training. We partnered with the ATF, and we're into the schools that are prevalent with this gang activity. So we trained the school. We paid for it out of the drug money that we seized, asset forfeiture money. So it cost the taxpayers nothing. And we're going to go into those schools, and we're going to grab these kids before they're influenced by the older kid who's in the gang. And we're going to educate them about a way out and a way to communicate to somebody about when you're being threatened to join a gang. We did the same with our Too Good for Drugs program, as opiates is a problem here in the county. So by the Too Good for Drugs program, it starts in kindergarten today. We start educating our kids today about drug usage. So again, bought for and paid for with drug money that we seized in asset forfeiture. All 56 school districts here in Nassau County and some of the privates have signed on. We just trained them all out at the Morelli Center in Hicksville last week, in Bethpage, excuse me. And when September rolls out, we're bringing gang resistance in. We're bringing the anti-drug movement, if you will. We started a takedown drugs program, which we started with wrestling. The Friends of Long Island Wrestling signed us, partners with us. And it basically is getting the messaging and the awareness out. If Coca-Cola can sell their bottle of soda, we're going to sell the anti-drugs. That's our message. We're going to sell this message, and we're going to convince kids that sugary drink that you like and you want to drink, well, here's this anti-drug thing that you don't want to like and you don't want to be part of.
Wow. You know, it reminds me about the late DA in Nassau County, Dennis Dillon. He started a similar program. I think it was called Surrey. I'm not go back. It's a boxing program.
Yep.
Yeah. I think he pretty much started with Glen Cove, and then it went through Nassau County,
It's actually, you know, a PAL program approached me about taking it back. Boxing went out of the PAL program a little bit.
Yes.
I met with a man named Kevin, and I can't recall his last name right now. I'm meeting with him on Wednesday about how boxing can come back as another way.
I think I know Kevin. Kevin from Westbury, the Westbury gym?
That's exactly who it is.
Yeah, I know Kevin. Yeah.
Good man. Good man.
Yes.
I'm going to sit with him on Wednesday.
Oh, good.
And the idea of it is, look, we got to grab the young kids.
Right.
You build a house from the bottom up. You don't put a new roof on a lousy foundation. So let's build our foundation. Let's concentrate there. Protect the roof, like our seniors.
Right.
Build the foundation of our children. And how we're going to do that is through education and awareness and building community relations. We go out at Halloween. We pick a couple of schools every year. We have several cops who do a great job. They dressed up in costume as Spider-Man, Batman, Darth Vader. And we go to the school at Halloween. We give out some stuff, and we just have a little parade that goes on. Our horses come. The more we build relationships with our community, the better we as a police department will police that community.
Because then they realize, hey, the cops are not the boogeyman.
That's right. That's right. And that's a hard struggle today. You see what's going on in the city right now.
Absolutely. But, I think I sort of, I don't know, it's worked a little differently in the city because it's just, I think they got too close. I think the cops got too interactive with the community where they thought that's my buddy and he's my friend. What's the big deal? I can throw water on him,
I'll disagree if I can on your own show.
Absolutely. But I'm saying it might be because you thought, hey, what's the difference? He's my friend. We just play basketball together, so I can throw water on him.
No, they were punks throwing water on cops because they were disrespectful to our law enforcement. And we came out right away with what the laws are, what the rules of engagement are.
Yes.
Because the educated cop on everything that the more he's educated, the more he'll know how to respond correctly.
Right.
We won't tolerate it. And NYPD made those arrests right away.
They did.
Which is a credit to them. And look, they didn't cause that. That came upon them. And the men and women who wear a blue uniform have a tough enough job that we don't need some punk throwing water on us and thinking it's a joke.
Yeah. There's a back and forth, of course, obviously the old timers from my school say they should have kicked their ass, they should have did this. And I say, it's a different world today. there's the cameras. So you got to give out business cards, and then you wind up getting jammed up for inciting a riot. So it's very, it's close friends of mine, and I'm in the middle because two things, because I wouldn't take it in my time when I walked a beat, but I can understand today's world. I could, that's, it's a whole different thing. Making the arrest after was great.
Yep.
Yeah. Because,
and this is something new. Something
exactly.
Would ever have thought that somebody be running up with a bucket of water and throwing a police officer?
I know.
And those poor police officers, they were in a situation as everybody's got a video camera, a phone camera on them, and they're trying to antagonize them to do something to push that officer over the top. They did a good job of self-control. And I think the NYPD answered it back by coming out and making the arrest. And now the question is, educate your police officers on the tool of what the arrest can be and how we make it, and that's how you win that argument.
Right.
You throw water on me, I lock you up.
Absolutely.
It ain't going to happen in Nassau County.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that. It shouldn't happen anywhere.
No, it shouldn't.
Should not happen anywhere.
No, it shouldn't.
But, just a terrible thing. A pretty terrible thing. It would never happen with the old transit police. What happened in the subway, I guess you saw that.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
And again, same punks trying to get the most out of a cop. We train like that, as you know.
Right.
They trained you in the academy when they scream and yell. Recruits go, this instructor, why is he always screaming in my face? Because that's going to happen to you on the street. And that's exactly what happened to those two officers in the train.
That's right.
And you know what? It's a tough job as it is. And then you got to control your own personal emotions not to reach out and grab a hold of that guy.
Right.
But you can't. They know they can't. But there is a point where he gets too close. There's a point where he breaks that law.
Yep.
There's a point where he, like you throw water on my uniform, you just have committed a criminal mischief to my uniform, my vest, my gun. You put me in jeopardy.
Correct.
He's getting arrested. The same thing with the gentleman on the train. And I'm Monday morning quarterbacking, and that's not fair to those cops. But that's why we came out and said, look, let's educate our cops on what these rules are, the laws are, so they're ahead of it.
Right.
Unfortunately, these poor cops had to go through what they went through.
Right.
I would never, ever second guess a police officer.
Right.
But now because of what they went through, we all learn from that, and we're going to correct that going forward.
Right. Everything we're taught from going way back has to do with a previous incident like this. That's our training.
Always. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from our history.
It's exactly right. The whole police department is built like that. Your whole patrol guy pretty much is based on what you're taught, and the range is really based on, like you said, history of the police history. So you just talking about police coverage. If we didn't, but I thought we mention that with the senior citizens. But you just reopened some of the precincts that were closed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So a while back, the old administration was looking for savings, and they merged precincts. They took, at the time, it was the 6th precinct merged into the 3rd, and then the 8th precinct merged into the 2nd, and the 4th merged into the 5th. The first one that came apart was the 4th and the 5th, and then we just recently opened up. When I say opened up, the 6th precinct is opened up. There is a trailer there. It's not the building, because the building needed some love, a lot of love. So we've gutted the inside. There's a new desk area being built, new bathrooms, everything's being done, parking lots being redone. The county exec made it as a promise. People wanted the promise right out of the gate. It took a little while because everybody realizes, any elected official that says we're going to do this and then realize when they get into the money's not there.
Right.
So the money had to be there, and the process just takes so long. Procurement takes so long, buying takes so long, and that's because of all the layers that are put into place to protect us from corruption. So they got it. The 6th is being redone. The 8th precinct is reopened. It's a brand new building. It was built to be our major case building, but now we've put it back as a precinct, and we've worked to refit the pieces and the tools in the areas out there, so it all works.
Well, my guess is Nassau County Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder. When they first did the consolidation, Commissioner Ryder, what was your thoughts on that? Did you support it or whatever?
My job at the time was running Intel, and they came to Intel about doing the numbers.
Correct.
And when you look at the math and you look at the numbers, people can say, and again, purely mathematical now or analytical. You look at it and you say, well, this can happen and it shouldn't be a big deal. Wrong. A community owns its precinct, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
A community says, you ask people, they go, I live in a 103. They don't say I live in St. Albans. They say I live in a 103.
Right.
And when people say they live in the 8th precinct, that community, and you know, in the 8th precinct you had Legislator Ferretti, and up in the 6th precinct you had Legislator Birnbaum, Democrat and Republican, both fighting for opening their precincts because their community, they love their cops, they respect their cops, and we should have. Looking at it now, and again, Monday morning quarterback and someone else's decision, we should have never have done it. But at the time, there was supposed to be a savings, and look, I wasn't there for the math part, so I don't know how the numbers came out at the end of the day. But no matter what, you can't put a price on community policing. You can't put a price on it, and the county exec made that promise. She reopened it. Both of them are back up and running. And again, it took some time. It wasn't as easy as anybody thinks. It's easier to close them than it is to open them.
I sure, makes sense.
Yeah.
But so you're happy with that?
I am ecstatic.
Oh,
and the cops are ecstatic. The unions are ecstatic about it. Look, the unions riding us hard on a 6th precinct to get it finished, and they're right, and we're going to get it finished. We're hoping to mid-October the actual building will be opened again. But right now it's running with a couple of trailers out in the front there. We had some safety issues we had to put into place, but they're in place, and everybody's working together to get this thing up and running. Okay.
You just opened the door a little bit. Speaking of unions, the detectives union are claiming that they're short detectives and they can't function, or they're having a tough time, you know, with the amount of detectives they have now. I mean, your thoughts on that?
Their claim is 100% right.
Oh.
So we had contractual agreements that were made years ago, and with nobody's knowledge, you know, thinking they were trying to shortchange somebody on the salaries. But how it works is a top a mid-level cop working in certain units with a stipend, like a SWAT guy. He wants to go to the squad. He actually goes back in pay. So when you take a detective shield with more responsibility, more work, and again, not taking away anything from the BSO guy, but a detective owns his case.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to lock the door and walk away at the end of the day. He's got to own that case to finish. And then when people think it's finished by making an arrest, there's more to it. There's court, and there's witnesses, and there's victims. Our detectives speak to their victims from homicides, you know, the family of the homicide victims. 20 years later, they get invited to family functions. You know, that's how much ownership there is to it. So because of that, the officers are reluctant to take the job as detective. So they're at the table now. And again, I'm not in that room, but there's discussions with the DAI to fix the steps, bring back the pride into the squad. And our men and women that work in the detective division, they're overworked right now. They're pushed to the max, but they still do a hell of a job. And I mean, they really, truly do. We have record low homicides last year. We had 15 in 2017. We had 16 in 2018. That's record low. You got to go back. We had to go back to 1960 to see when we had less than 15 homicides. That being said, the solvability rate is 95% or something like that. They do an outstanding job on homicide detectives. But they leverage technology with our electronic squad. They use our street cops, you know, to help back them up on surveillances, and they work with our narcotics guys and the rest of the group to make sure they get it done. So they've done some great work, but we are definitely short, and we're working to fix that.
Oh, great, good. I'm sure, because one of your detectives asked me to ask you that.
Well, you could tell President Wighouse I answered it. He's a good man, and he's trying to do what's right by his members.
Well, what's true. Well, that's
all the union presidents do the same thing. They fight for their membership.
Yes, I know.
And that's their job.
Yeah. You got, speaking of their job and how tough it is and homicides and stuff, how do we look now with, I know Donald Trump, you mentioned you were fortunate enough to be with him, and he acknowledged you, gave you a hug or a hand when he first came out there. And that was because of the MS-13. How are we doing with them now with the MS-13? How's that going on?
So MS-13, we in 2016 and 17, in the first quarter of 17 and 2016, we had 12 young men that were murdered. 5 of those murders were street murders. They were gunned down, shot in the face, shot in the back, stabbed,
Right.
out in the street, killed in daylight or nighttime, and the arrests were made on those people. 7 of those bodies went missing.
Wow.
And over a period of time, because of the great work by our homicide guys and the persistence, working with the DA, working with Homeland Security, working with HSI, working with ICE, working with DEA. If it wasn't for our partners in our federal partners plus us working with them, we arrested and made all the arrests and found all of those bodies. We were digging those bodies up in 2018. We dug up 2 in 2019. We just recently dug up one in the Massapequa Preserve.
Yeah.
That young man was killed in 2016. So since we, 23 months ago now, we really turned up the pressure on MS-13. In those 23 months, we've had 1 murder. That 1 murder, there was a murder on the city side by the Red Hook projects.
Right.
MS-13 killed somebody on that side. They came over and they killed somebody on this side.
Wow.
So we own that murder. That's the only one in 23 months. So we've got it under control. We got to keep our foot on the gas when it comes to these guys. We've added more people to our gang unit, even at the sacrifice of our precinct squads losing more. But we had to put more people into the gang unit. They go out every day using technology, using intelligence. And like I said, only 1 murder in the last 22 months. That was the one on the city side. All 12 of those people have been located and found. Give some closure to the families.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work by our homicide guys. And these guys are brutal savages. They don't not only kill, when they kill you, they decapitate, they amputate, they dig a shallow grave, they throw you in it, and they find some wooded area to do it.
They mutilate people.
So, yeah, we're in the process now of assessing all of our parks and open wooded areas to add technology, lighting, and stuff to improve in those areas.
Unbelievable. You're on a job totally, what, over
35 and a half.
35 and a half
Not
years.
that I'm counting.
I know. Have you ever seen with the MS-13? And I dealt with a lot of gangs in my time also. And at that time, there were different gangs. They never mutilated. Very, very rare. But this seems to be the style or the culture of this gang, you know?
Their motto was kill, rape, control.
Wow.
And that's just that motto alone says volumes.
But it's interesting. They're teenagers, the majority of them, right, Commissioner Ryder?
Most of these gentlemen that we arrested are 5, 7 and under.
That's right.
They're 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old guys.
Amazing.
I don't know where that comes from. We've been to El Salvador. We've sent several of our gang guys to El Salvador to learn about more of the culture, to understand it.
Correct.
Because, and I had this conversation with the president too, and when we talked about gangs.
Right.
Gangs is not an immigration issue, because a lot of our gang members in MS-13 are born here. We have about, I think it's 475 MS-13 members that we know of. About 200 of them are active. The rest are inactive. Inactive meaning they're in jail, they've been arrested, or they're just not involved with the gang anymore. Right. But we still know who our players are, understanding them. All of those, if you are an MS-13 gang member in our county and you are undocumented, we work with HSI and ICE to get you out. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you that. Wow.
But we're very careful to work with our community. We have a great Hispanic community here in Nassau County. I think we're about a 17% population of our county.
Right.
We work with the community to eradicate that problem. Whether you're documented or undocumented, doesn't matter to us. We don't ever ask a witness or a victim what their status is.
Right.
If you're arrested for a felony and misdemeanor, you get notified to ICE. If you have a judicial warrant, you get arrested. If you have an administrative warrant, the courts have ruled that we will not enforce those administrative warrants, so we don't get involved in that. There's 3 parts to ICE, what a lot of people don't understand. There's HSI. That's the investigative side. Human trafficking, human smuggling, cocaine, money laundering, and violent crime. We work with HSI. We have 2 members assigned to that. There's the CBP, Custom Border Patrol, and everybody thinks they're on the border just down in the Southwest. They're right here at our airports. They work at our airports, but for the same reasons. Human trafficking, drug smuggling, certain counterfeit crimes that are coming in. We have 2 members that work with that. Those 2 agencies don't work or go after undocumented people. It's the ERO part. And the ERO part of immigration works in the jail, that spot or has a trailer in the jail. And when somebody is arrested for a felony or a misdemeanor and has a crime and has a warrant, they'll go and enforce that warrant.
Wow.
But we don't work with ERO. If they're on the street going to pick somebody up, as they're instructed to do by law, then we'll go and assist them if we're asked. But we're there to protect the rights of all the people involved.
Wow. I was going to open the phones, but we're having such a great conversation. I got a bunch of text messages. Hey, I'll open the phones. Anybody wants to call in and ask Police Commissioner Ryder a question, 516-623-1240, 1240. That's 516-623-1240, which is our station, 1240 AM radio, the oldest Long Island radio talk show. By the way, Commissioner Ryder, we're celebrating our 95th year here in Nassau County with the first and oldest radio talk show.
1925?
24.
So this coming April, we'll be selling our 95th anniversary in the police department.
Look at that. So
1925.
Yes. So we are the first talking radio, or speaking radio, however they call it.
Well, congratulations.
Talk show. Thank you. It seems like yesterday.
You've been here for all 95 years, right?
That's what I say, I know we came here by horse then. But anyway, so, but 516-623-1240. Look at that. Question at the phone already. So, yep. Okay, so, again, my guest, Commissioner Patrick Ryder, 35th year in the business, as they say. Former New York City cop, 2.5 years. And I got Jim on the line. Jim?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Question or comment for Commissioner?
I have a comment, but I think by the time I get the comment out, Patrick may recognize my voice.
Okay.
That's my brother.
Oh, okay. So can you... Yes.
Just let him know that the family's very proud of him, and we all know and hear from all of our friends and family how hard he works, even though we know that. And we're all behind him and support him and keep doing a good job, Pat.
Oh.
So my brother, very modest, he works with the John Field Foundation. And Monday,
they
will be signing that bill.
Yes.
And a lot of credit goes to the John Field Foundation. A lot of credit goes to a lot of our senators and politicians, Peter King, who being one of those who pushed real hard to get this bill done. Jimmy's been working. He's also a 9/11 survivor. He's going through some issues right now, his own health issues.
Oh, boy.
But he's done a great job in making sure that our men and women that went out and paid that sacrifice on that day and the months that followed are all taken care of. So,
well, Jim, thank you. Thank you for your service and just being a responder down there. And
it's my pleasure.
And your brother talked about camaraderie in the police department, and I talked about how comfortable I was with Donald Trump, and your brother had the opportunity to be with him as well. Your brother's one of those comfortable guys that you could, and I could see he was a great cop as well, just by the dialogue we're having. Thank you for calling in, Jim.
Thank you, sir. Be well.
Yeah, you too, of course. I had John Fields as my guest, Patrick Ryder. He was my guest early on, and then the attorney, Mike Barish, I think his name is, who represents me.
They do great work.
He was my guest going back. Oh my God, and this is going to be a forever bill, for legislation.
And it's needed.
It's needed. And it's needed. Oh boy, I did open the phone, so I got to I got to take this call. I guess I was going to ask you a couple more questions. But we do have 20 more minutes. So let's see who's on the line. Your question? Okay, Coach Ray, very good. I'm going to just tell you about Coach Ray, Commissioner. Coach Ray is, he runs a boxing gym for indigent and kids, out in Suffolk County. I always get his Jim BCBA. He's going to get angry at me, and he does a great job. And Coach Ray, go ahead. Question.
Yeah,
yes.
how are you guys? First, I want to thank you both for your service. You, Lou,
thank you.
in your past, and you, Commish, for what you're doing now. I have a different angle on what's happening with these kids, and a lot of them weren't kids. They were adults that were disrespecting the New York City police officers.
Oh.
As somebody, Lou just said, that we work with these kids to try to show that there are lines in the sand where you do respect your elders, you certainly do respect authority. How do you think this is affecting the populace as a whole when you got law-abiding, tax-paying citizens who work around the clock to stay broke on Long Island? Mm-hmm. And support the in New York City, same taxpayer situation, and see this? How do they feel? What do you think they're thinking when the police can't defend themselves? What do you think? How does that translate into the law-abiding community where they say, you know what, I'm in a state I can't protect myself. These cops can't even protect themselves. How are they going to protect us? Do you see this thing snowballing to a point where it's almost orchestrated to have that societal breakdown, which in my opinion, I think some of this stuff is orchestrated by certain people in power to have this kind of... I mean, this hasn't happened since the 70s. Where Pig and Baby Killer and all of the people that are represented by these thugs that are doing this to our cops were doing this, if you recall, back in the day where, a total disrespect for authority. I'm going to hang up and let you guys discuss it, but where are you guys going to get support from the people you know who love you and support you and respect you when they see our law enforcement officers not even... defending themselves. You know what I mean? Do you think there'll be a trickle-down effect where, people are fed up? They're fed up. They see this. They come home from work and they got to see this, and nothing's being done. Forget. We don't have to get into de Blasio, his uselessness. But these police officers, who is holding them to task, saying, guys, you got a whole force here that you represent. Your actions run downhill. It's so frustrating because you're when you watch that, you've watched the tapes, and you guys are officers. You want to punch through the screen and help out, and you can't. Your hands are tied physically, literally, whatever.
Well, especially if you punch them, Ray. So, Ray, he's got the question. He's going to answer now.
Go ahead, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for
Great
calling,
show,
Ray.
by the way.
Thank you.
So definitely, first of all, these things are definitely orchestrated, 100%. They set it up. They wait for the right cop, the right place, the right time. They sit there with their buckets of water and now their water guns, and then they approach the police officer. How do we know that's not bleach? How do we know there's not poison in there? How do you know there's not lye in there? We don't. And unfortunately, our police officers are in a tough way. They're going to make the decision that is best for them at the time to keep them safe and the community safe. We'd like to go back and just punch through that screen, but I think the community is disgusted, as all of us are, about the actions of those. And remember, it's a small few that just want to get their 5 seconds of fame.
Wow.
And unfortunately, at the sacrifice of our members of law enforcement. We educate them now about the tools. We tell them what their rights are to go out and enforce that, and you'll see a change. The next time somebody's going to do that, they'll be arrested. And again, a credit to the NYPD. They went out there and they made those arrests. They went and they answered the call. There's politics that fall into everything. And as law enforcement, we try to keep the politics out of it. We just enforce the laws that we are given. And the NYPD is a great department, and I'm sure they'll find a way through this one like they have through everything else.
Yeah. Let's hope they get 5 years for their 5 minutes of fame, like you were saying.
Yeah, I love that.
Johanna on the line for Police Commissioner Patrick Ryder.
Yes. Hi, Commissioner.
Hello. How are you?
Thank you, dear. I want to commend you for the wonderful officers that you have, and especially the 3rd Precinct, which I always used if I'm in trouble. And a question, they announced on television that one of the young men that hit the water buckets to the the gang in New York, and that was one member of the MS-13. I don't know if that's true. And also, do you get good cooperation with the Suffolk County Police on homicides or anything that you need? And then the last question is, do you feel that Antifa is going to be as big a threat as MS-13 is up here?
So on the first part of it, I don't know if somebody was arrested that was an MS-13 member. I know this. That person who was arrested is a bad person who did something wrong to law enforcement and now will answer to the courts. As far as the cooperation with Suffolk County, we have a tug-of-war competition coming up, and I've challenged Commissioner Hart, and we have a great relationship with Suffolk. They're a great department. Jerry Hart's doing a great job out there. You saw Stu Cameron, their chief of department, on in the paper, I think it's today, showing off their new ideas. They're a great department. From the east and the west, both NYPD, Suffolk, and Nassau, were flawless. We work together hand in hand with all our village police departments. Don't forget, in Nassau County, there's 8 villages in 2 cities, and every one of them has a great leader at the helm and all doing some great work. So for the last question was...
Right. I think that was...
About Antifa.
Oh, Antifa.
Oh, Antifa. Very good.
Yes, which is a very dangerous group.
And many of our anarchist-type groups and Antifa cause us a problem. And, you know, they don't look at the laws, how we have them. They don't acknowledge the laws. They ignore law enforcement. We don't see an issue with Antifa yet. We have, like I said, many groups here that have caused us problems, that have antagonized and trying to engage our department, and we watch them. We do our intel work on the back end, and when that problem arises, we hope to shut it down as quick as it pops its ugly head. This is sometimes we play that world of whack-a-mole, and as they pop up, we pop them back down.
Very good.
I think some congressmen are trying to get them called a domestic terrorist group, which would be very good.
What they do to you, personal finances, and what it's really, it'd be great to come down with some changes in the law to make sure that they can answer. We have a constitution that should be abided by.
Right, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call, Johanna. We got into that. Now it's going to be something closely related, and, but it's not new. It's that how are we doing with this opiate and heroin epidemic out here, Commissioner Ryder? Because that seems to be connected to DOIs and a lot of poor young kids overdosing and things.
Opiates have taken a stranglehold of our country, not just here in Nassau County.
Correct.
In the state of New York, Nassau, Suffolk happen to be 2 of the highest overdoses on opiates. So we average, back in 16, it should be, 16, I think we lost a little over 200 people to overdoses. Then 17, we came down to, I think it was 198. Then 18, we just came out with the numbers. We're back down even lower. You know, 25% reduction this year, 25% reduction last year, 18 and 17. That being said, but if you speak to these parents of these kids that have lost their life, and the tragedy that's involved in it, we are fully engaged, both sides, Suffolk and Nassau, and both DAs, both Tim Sinney and Madeline Singas, and both county execs are all fully engaged, and our legislators. I haven't heard a person that's not in on the fight yet. And we've done a lot on education. We have a multi-pronged approach in Nassau County called Operation Natalie. Natalie Siapa was a young lady, girl from Massapequa. She died of an overdose on a cold slab down in Seaford. I speak to her dad, Vic, quite often, and he's a great man and wants his daughter to, you know, it's 11 years just this past month. So education, awareness, enforcement, diversion, treatment, and what we call the aftercare visit is how we've attacked it. We've done it with OD mapping, where we map it, we educate the community. We call them out. We say, hey, you're ground zero right now. You're the #1 in overdoses. And we go in there with enforcement. But when we lock somebody up, you can't arrest yourself out of a problem. So we arrest those kids that for the misdemeanors, and we put them into diversion court. Right. And in the diversion court, they get help. They get treatment. They're forced to go to it. The felonies, they go to jail, and the DA does her job. and hammers them. So we've done some really good work, but we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
Long way to go. We're about to announce a new takedown project that's going to be coming up. Big fundraiser over at Mulcahy's. John Murray and the Mulcahy family once again stepped up.
Once again,
for law enforcement and their fight. And we're gonna raise some money, and it's all going to be about messaging. Like I said earlier, I'm going to sell this as that anti-drug thing, and it's going to be it's the Takedown Nation, as I try to call it, because I'm going to challenge not only the county of Nassau, but the state of New York and everywhere out throughout the United States.
Wow, you mentioned. I got to tell you, I go back so many years, Mulcahy's. Anything I've seen for law enforcement and the great causes like we're talking about, they seem to be there.
John Murray and his family are stand-up people and great community leaders.
Wow. I got Richie on the line. Richie for Police Commissioner Pat Ryder. Question or statement?
Yeah, first I want to tell the commissioner he's doing a fabulous job.
Thank you.
I have a lot of friends that are Nassau County cops and detectives, and everybody loves you, and I could understand why. I want to go down memory lane. What do you think about the foot posts that cops used to do in the city with the call boxes? You think that was part of community relations back in the day?
So you know, first of all, thank you for the comment. A foot post job today, it's not the most efficient way to get our members out there, but I got to tell you something. There's nothing like a cop walking down a street and saying hello to the community, stopping in the pizza place, and I know here come the jokes, but stopping at the donut shop, but saying hello to the community. Unfortunately, it's not that efficient when you're moving around by a radio car. So what we've done in Nassau County, we have our community affairs, which do just that function. We have our pop cops, which are like the community affairs on steroids. I get more thanks from our pop cops for the work that they do at community meetings and how they've taken ownership to the project. They treat the people out there with respect as they want that same respect in return. And then they go out and they do a great job. And then we add the COPE function to it. They're a mixture between pop and enforcement. And sometimes we need the enforcement side also for that community relation. So the work that our men and women have done in the NYP and the Nassau County Police Department and the NYPD, I'll throw them in there, is because they're out there saying hello to the community and dealing. Community policing is where we're at in today's policing world, and we got to keep moving forward to make sure that we build relationships with our community, because that makes us better cops.
Well, thank you. You're doing a fabulous job. And thanks for answering my question. Appreciate it. And Lou Tolano is doing a great job also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rich. It sounds like we rehearsed that. So, but anyway, with the compliments. Anyway, so I know it's a different world today where we have foot cops. It's just a different society, different way of life. Just
we used to be on fixes back in, and I tell you that first arrest was on Prospect and Nostrand. That was because that was the... On Nostrand Avenue, I was allowed to go from Prospect, and I don't know the other street, but that was my fixer.
Oh, your fixed post. Imagine that.
And the only place that was legit at the time was the pizza guy.
That's right.
Everything else was a numbers place, and you couldn't go in it, which numbers place turned all into crack dens.
Yeah.
That was when, and again, a great credit to Jack Maple and Broken Windows.
Very good.
And people forget that quality of life is everything. You pay taxes, you want a high quality of life.
You know,
Jack Maple did a great job with everything he did regarding
Jack
CompStat.
Jack Maples, by the way, was with the full inspector with the transit police, was appointed deputy police commissioner under Rudy Giuliani, and he created a lot of programs that were still in effect. He did a great job.
CompStat is still rocking and rolling.
CompStat is what he initiated. Very good. Yeah.
Lou Anamone was big on that also at the time.
Lou Anamone.
He's given some nice comments lately, supporting his cops.
All these guys. You know, I got to give myself a plug, because during that time with the Mayor Rudy Giuliani's quality of life enhancement, he appointed me as chief of the sheriff's department at that time. So we were the guys that closed up all those joints on Times Square. It was not the police department, it was the sheriff's department, folks, because it's civil, you know, and the stuff we found in there obviously became big-time criminal. So I've worked with Jack Maples and Lou Anamone and that going back to that time, you know. So
from prostitution to Disney.
Well, imagine that.
It's the big turnaround.
It's, you know, I put on Twitter, Rudy, come home, you know. But we're back. I never thought I'd say the city as worse than it was when Dinkins ran the city. Today's day I'm talking about, with the broken window concept, with that you mentioned. And you were there for the 2.5 years.
An academic mind, the academia came to policing.
I know. What are your Police Commissioner Pat Ryder, aside from doing a great job and creating a lot of great initiatives here out in the county, what are you looking forward to?
Our big fight? Well, we're in that phase in this time where we have all of our unions are out of contract right now.
Right.
So this negotiation at the table makes the job hard. We're working to work around that and get it done for the membership. And again, great work by all of the unions involved. But we still have a huge opiate issue. We're in the process of writing a report like we did on marijuana for the county exec. The opiate report will be due the second week of May. Part of the Intel Center, our think tank, we have a group together, Legislator Sela Bino and Legislator James Kennedy co-chair it with myself. We've had several meetings in a rough draft, but the opiate epidemic, when you look at what it's done to our country, and it was all started with pills and now into heroin, and the heroin now mixed with fentanyl. The business at hand there and supply and demand. So we're kind of we've always been going after the supplier.
Right.
Now we're going after the demand. And we're trying to get them help, not just lock them up.
Correct.
And bring them into a place where they get into recovery and substance. Dr. Jeffrey Reynolds works very closely with us on the recovery side and treatment. The DA has a place down in Freeport called New Hope where we can get them into a bed. So we're working the Yes group over in Massapequa. We're so involved with them. And, there's 4 families that I get heavily involved with. One is obviously, I told you, Vic.
Right.
The dad is Natalie Siapa. Kevin Glenn's, my high school wrestling coach and lacrosse coach. His son, All-American lacrosse player, 2 championships out of Limerick, went to UMass, got addicted to opiates and died. And his father, my coach, could have coached anybody and convinced you that you're a champion, but couldn't get his kid off that opiate.
Amazing.
And we also deal with Timothy under Timothy's law, Timothy Kroll, who couldn't find a place to go, and Legislator Lafazan pushed out a bill about how we're going to get you there. We're coming out with a new app on that. And then the last one is Ricky's Road for Recovery, a young man in Bayville who star athlete who had some struggles and again lost that battle. So I identify with every victim and every family, but I also battle it and treat these kids like they're my own. If they were my kids, I'd give them everything I got, and I'm giving these kids and these families everything I got. 24/7, 365 days a year, my phone rings, and I'm out answering calls for families and trying to help them. So we're doing some good stuff in the police department. All the men and women in Nassau County deserve some great work. Applause.
Well, just a quick question because we're running out of time. Your thoughts on legalization of marijuana?
So we came out with a report. We gave you the numbers. Again, we try to stay out of the political side of it.
I know. You have to.
I publicly said I am not for it because of people like Eddie Byrne and Scott Cadell, who lost their life battling, defending and doing the public service, lost their battles to drug dealers. So when you look at marijuana, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. They decriminalized it, which is a path that we can look at the social injustice.
Yes.
We do arrest 4-to-1 ratio of African Americans over white.
Correct.
So it has to be looked at. It has to be addressed. What can we do to better it? A lot of work has to be done before we go and even consider it. And I think Albany has taken that message to heart, and we're coming back with some good research.
Let me say this, folks. We're out of time. I just want to thank Commissioner Patrick Ryder. We're very fortunate, folks, to have a commissioner of the Nassau County Police Department at a time, especially what's going on in today's world. Patrick Ryder, Commissioner of Nassau County, thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, and Godspeed to all of our men and women out there.
And this is Lou Tolano, and I'll catch you later.
WGBB AM 1240 and W240 DF FM 95.9.
The views expressed in the previous program did not necessarily represent those of the staff, management, or owners of WGBB.
This is WGBB AM 1240 and W240 DF FM 95.9 Freeport, New York. 9 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 Freeport, New York. 9